Well, hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Hyperion Adventures podcast. I'm Tom. As always, I'm with my wonderful, gorgeous, intelligent Disney cruise-loving wife, Michelle.
Thank you, baby. Hi, everybody.
So good to have you with us. We're recording this episode on Sunday, October 13th, 2019. Wow, October is just flying by. We're already mid-month. It's crazy.
Right. It's close to Halloween.
I know. I got to get the candy ready. I haven't even put out our big spider yet. I got to put out our big inflatable spider that everybody loves. I may have to do that. Yes, I have been a slacker. I need to do that.
But
over
we've
the next
been
couple
busy.
of days. Yes, we have been very busy. We'll talk a little bit about that as the show progresses. Thank you for joining us today. In the future, you can find us, well, most everywhere you get podcasts. However, the very best place to find us is HyperionAdventuresPodcast.com. And when you visit that website, feel free to sign up for our newsletter because, well, we like to just have you involved more in the fold, but we also have some interesting things that are going to be happening with the newsletter coming up, well, this week.
Ooh.
Yeah. We'll talk about that in a moment. We also love hearing from you very much, so please follow us along on social media, on Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And of course, you can always email us, and you will want to possibly email us, so take note of this email address, HyperionAdventurespodcast@gmail.com.
That's right, because we have... Can I tell it? Can I tell them?
I'll get to that in a second. I know you're anxious. I know you're very anxious, and she should be because this is really Michelle's idea. But we'll get to that in just a second here. But first, I want to talk to you about all the other stuff that we have coming up for you today, including we have Disney dropping a couple new movie trailers this week. We'll discuss that. We now know the dates for the annual holiday event at the Disneyland Resort, and we have our review of a brand new musical adaptation for one of our favorite movies. But let's not keep Michelle in suspense here. She really wants to talk about this. So this is just a lead-in to what we have coming up for you this week.
If you think you're some kind of brainiac, a know-it-all, some kind of a whiz, got more answers than an almanac. Let's take a quiz. If you think you're extraordinary, cut above the best that there is. If your cranial capacity is something scary, let's take a quiz. Let's all take a quiz. Oh, yeah.
Woo! That's right. Starting this week, we have a brand new thing happening with each and every episode, our Hyperion Adventures trivia game. Michelle, tell them what it's all about.
So, we were thinking we get really great feedback from people who listen to the podcast, and we thought, why not make it worth their while? Mm-hmm. Add a little something to it. So we're going to start with having a mini trivia game with our podcast, and that will go out if you sign up for our newsletter. You'll have that, and then we'll have a weekly winner.
Yes. So, sign up for our newsletter, and every week along with the newsletter, we will give you the trivia questions. There'll probably be somewhere 3 to 5 questions, all relating to things that happen within the show. Also, if you have given us a 5-star review, and you are interested in being involved in this, just let us know. Some of you, we already know who you are. Some we don't. We want to get to know you better. But Let us know that you've done this and you want to be on. That's going to give you an extra entry every single week.
Right. A little bonus.
So if you answer the questions all correctly, that's one entry. If you've given us a 5-star review, that's another entry. If you want to be involved in the giveaway and you didn't answer the questions, but you've given us a 5-star review, well, you still have one entry, or vice versa. So you are involved in it, and we're looking forward to having you involved each and every week.
Yeah, so we hope that you find it fun. Give us some feedback on it, and it's not going to be like, you don't have to be a brainiac. It's listen to the episode and
It's an open book test.
It is.
Yes.
That is true.
Listen to the podcast with the questions in hand. We'll give them right to you. You just have to find them. It's about, didn't you always love it when you were in school and you're like, open book test? You're like, yes, score. Well, that's exactly what we're doing for you.
Exactly.
And so let me tell you what we're giving away this week. We're going to be giving away various prizes every single week. Some will be really nice and really big. Some will be a little bit smaller, but still really nice. This week, I really love this week's prize, and I think it's really appropriate for the season because it's kind of that Halloween season. We're gradually eventually going to get into the Christmas season. Halloween, Christmas, the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard of that.
Yes. So we have this wonderful water bottle that we have that is themed to the Nightmare Before Christmas. It's on the outside, it's all black, and it's got kind of the chalkboard writings, if you remember from the film, where Jack is trying to figure out like, why does Christmas work? And he's trying to do these computations. Well, he's kind of got that all over this water bottle, and it's really cool. And what's also good is it's not just a regular water bottle. This water bottle is really, really nice. Here's from the actual box and to kind of describe what it is. It's a 20.9 ounce stainless steel bottle. It says on the copper plating on the inner wall is an extra line of defense against temperature transfer. Heat, so it actually keeps things hot or it keeps things cold for much longer. It says here that it'll keep things hot up to 12 hours.
Wow.
And it'll keep things cold up to 24 hours. So this is a really nice bottle. We'll post some pictures on the website. We'll also put it out social media wise. And yes, we want you to sign up for the newsletter. That's the best way you can get involved with this. But if you're listening to this and you haven't signed up for the newsletter, you just want to hit us up on social media and ask us for the questions, or if you want to email us and ask us for the questions, we'll do that as well.
Yeah. Just DM us or email us. And I'm looking at the water bottle now, and it's adorable. So it's a great prize. I think people will love having this.
I love the little part where it's there. It says Sandy, and it has the claw there, like a lobster claw, and it says equals Christmas and stuff like that. Yeah, there's like reindeer, snowman. It's really cool. It's a really cool bottle. Like I said, I'll post a picture of it, but I think it's going to be a really fun prize to kick this whole thing off. And then this was all Michelle's idea. And again, great job by her to try and get all of you listeners, all our Hyperion Adventures, more involved in the show.
Right. Well, we love the interactions that we have on social media already. And, we just want to make it a little bit more fun, a little more exciting this way too.
Yep, exactly. So that's really cool stuff. We also wanted to get you involved this week. If you remember from our last episode, if you haven't heard it yet, go back and check it out. We talked a little bit about Anastasia, the musical, and the movie Anastasia. And we kind of referenced should she be the next Disney princess? And I put out a poll on who you think should be the next Disney princess. And so we got some nice responses from it. Far and away, the winner easily was 64% of the vote was Princess Leia.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. That's Michelle's choice. Second place was Anastasia, so good to see that she got some love there. Third was Shuri from Black Panther movie and Marvel and the Avengers and everything. And fourth was my choice, which was Princess Ada from Bug's Life, of course, only with 8%. But thanks everybody who took part. And we did get some responses from some people involved with that poll, and it said at Think Mickey blog, which is Marissa, who was on our show just not that long ago with a quick little thing. She said Leia for sure. Most people assume Anastasia is Disney anyway, so she'd be my second choice, but Leia deserves it more.
Right. You know what? One thing that we didn't mention at the last week's episode with Anastasia that I think also puts the feel of Disney into that movie is that Angela Lansbury.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she has a role in it.
An important role in there. So
does Kelsey Grammer, for that matter.
Right.
Stinky Pete is in there. A little bit of a Russian accent in Stinky Pete, but he's in there as well. So yeah, some other Disney folks were involved in this as well as voices. Also, we got a response from Nate and Serena, who are at DVC Duo. They said, it's so hard to choose just one. Can we say all? That's what I thought, as a matter of fact. If we have to pick one, Princess Leia gets our vote. Yeah, that's very nice. And Jeanette, who's at Jeanette S87, said Leia all the way. Shuri and Ada obs are anyway, but the heart wants what the heart wants. LOL. So,
sums it up pretty nicely, actually.
So that's good. Thanks for everybody who voted on the poll, and thanks for those of you who responded and took part in it. So we hope to do more polls in the future and get everybody involved. We want to get all of you, like we were talking about just a little bit ago with the trivia game, we want to get you all involved as much as possible.
Right. It's a Disney loving community.
That's right. It is. And we love our Disney loving community.
Exactly.
So that's it for that stuff. Now let's get to our main topic of the week. And this week's main topic deals all with Disney Cruise Line. That's right. This week we're going to get you involved and help you know everything you might want to know about Disney Cruise Line, especially if it's your first ever Disney cruise. We want to help you be prepared to have the best trip possible.
Right. Or if you're thinking about taking a Disney cruise, what kind of things to expect, or maybe some surprises or items that you hadn't thought about that might make your decision, put it over the top that,
right.
Got to do it.
We're going to tell you right now, if you're thinking about doing a Disney cruise, do a Disney cruise.
Yeah,
it's really great.
It.
It's a different form of Disney. If you're used to going to the parks, whatever the case may be, it's just an extension of that, and it's a lot of fun, but it's a different style vacation, but it is a blast for everybody, the entire family. And we'll go through a lot about that as we move on. Just to kind of get you started here, you may know this about us, but just in case you don't, we are both Platinum Disney cruisers. We've
Bragger.
We've been on, totally. We've been on 10 or more, for Michelle, many more Disney cruises apiece. So we have some knowledge about this. I will put this out honestly, we have not sailed, as surprising as it is, we have not sailed on the Disney Dream yet. So everything we know about that ship is kind of just, extrapolated from information we've got from other people, or the sister ship of it, the Disney Fantasy, which we have sailed on. Mm-hmm. We have sailed in virtually every type of cabin there is. Michelle, you have sailed on an inside cabin.
I have,
yes. Yeah. I have not, but we have sailed on an ocean view cabins, balcony cabins, family cabins, and we also have done concierge, not only the one bedroom suites, but also, I'm not going to brag, but we have also have also done concierge. So we kind of have an idea of how these things go from whatever category you're looking for.
Right. And I'll brag then. Yes, we have actually been in the Walt Suite and the Roy Suite
on the Disney Wonder.
Disney Wonder, yeah. Yes. So, but just so that, again, we can talk to that if we need to.
If we need to. So let's get to it. We'll get right down to this, and we're going to kind of lead you through the process of going through a Disney cruise, and we're going to start all the way from preparing, from booking, all the way to leading up to your cruise, on board, and then disembarkation. And so you kind of have an idea of what to expect for your either first or your next ever Disney cruise. So I'm going to start off with the booking process here and kind of what you might want to look at as you're planning to make your trip. And Michelle, feel free to chime in at any point if you want to add on to anything I'm saying here, cool. Of course. So first thing you want to do is, of course, figure out where do you want to go? What itinerary is right for you? What is the length of the itinerary that's right for you? If your first Disney cruise, look, I always feel that anything less than 7 days feels really, really short on a cruise. But if it's your first Disney cruise and you're not sure that cruising is right for you, you might want to try a 3 or a 4 night Bahamas cruise on, say, the Disney Dream or something like that.
Right.
Kind of to give you an idea of what the process is, what it is like, just kind of give you the concept of it and see if your family enjoys it before you jump in, head first into being on the ship for a week.
Right. I mean, some people are concerned of, issues related to seasickness. So I could see some people being hesitant to book a first-time cruise, that would be longer. Or also if you have kids or little kids and you're concerned how they will be. I know that the one thing that I hear several of my friends who have not taken cruises at all have said is the concern for feeling of claustrophobia. Mm-hmm. And, that's a personal thing. My personal feeling is that, and I have some issues sometimes too, but with claustrophobia, but never on a cruise ship.
Especially with a Disney cruise ship. We've run into some cabins on other cruise ships. We've sailed not only with Disney Cruise, but several other cruise lines as well. And some of their, especially like their inside cabins, can be really, really tight and really, really tiny, and they can feel that way. But I've never felt that way about any Disney cruise cabin because they all seem to be a little larger. You also usually have, for virtually every room, they have the split bathroom where you get some extra space there as well. They always feel, they know that most of their cabins are going to be putting in 3 or 4 people with kids, obviously mom and dad and a kid or 2 within them. So they build for that extra space in preparation that's going to happen.
Right. I do think they have on the original ships, the OG ships, interior cabins that don't have the split bathrooms. There's not many of them, but they have better seating in an interior cabin than any other cruise ship that I've ever sailed on. That they have, like a couch and a little table, and it just feels a little bit more separate than just sitting on a bed.
And even many of the on the new ships, the inside cabins have that giant video screen porthole there that shows kind of what's going on outside. It's not really looking outside, but it feels that way. And they also sometimes characters will pop up in it or whatever. So it's kind of, it makes you feel like you're have a little bit of an ocean view, even if you are on an inside cabin in many of those cases. So when you're looking at booking itinerary, of course, one of the biggest things you're going to look at is pricing. Now, let's face it, we can't deny this. Disney is more expensive than virtually every other cruise you're going to take from major mainstream cruise lines.
Right.
However, I will tell you that I believe they are worth the price every single time. They always rank very highly on every list that you see. The customer service is Disney customer service as you've come to expect at the parks, at the resorts. It extends right into the cruise line, and the entertainment is top notch. And then the fact that they have much more room in the cabins and everything. I believe that the price that they put it at, yes, is it more expensive? It is, but I feel it's very worth it.
And, some of the things that we've noticed now on taking some other cruise lines, and more of the budget conscious ones too, they do scale back on what they give you included. Yes, your regular meals are included and things, but they are now, some of them are starting to charge for entertainment, like to go to the movie theater or whatever, whereas if you go on the Disney cruise, it's included, they have Disney movies, obviously. If it's a new release, they have it on the same day that it's going to be released throughout the country. So you wouldn't miss that if you were on a ship when something new came out. But there's no fees for that. So I think the other cruise lines are more budget conscious than Disney, but they also charge up for a lot of the things that you would automatically get or want through a Disney cruise line. So I think it's still going to be more expensive, but it is not as dramatic as what you would think if you were just looking at the booking prices.
Agreed completely on that. And let's talk about that. Some of the things that are included in this cost of this cruise. If you want to just sail on Disney and not pay for anything extra, the extra dining, shore excursions, alcohol, whatever the case may be, your cruise fare could be pretty much it. That could be all you're charged. Of course, there'll be some extras on that, and we'll talk about budgeting for that later on. But included on there, of course, is your room. So, no matter where you're going, you unpack and you go there, you unpack once, and you travel to whatever ports these are. That's included. Most of the food, so anything in the dining room is included. Anything out of the buffet, there's various food stands in and around the pool. That's all included with the price. The entertainment, which there's so much great entertainment on board a Disney cruise, including, yes, the Broadway shows, but like Michelle was just talking about, first run movies and even more classic Disney movies, and the kids clubs, which are excellent, all included in the price of your cruise. So when you're thinking about a vacation and you think about going to the parks and whatever, yes, you think about the hotel, you think about any transportation you might need. You also have to think about meals and so forth. Well, that is all included, at least at its base level, with Disney Cruise Line. Right.
And the base level is great. Like, the evening dining room is amazing because there's also entertainment along with that. The things that they have on deck and associated with the pool and things like that. And yes, you could do it without additional costs even for shore excursions, but you could get off the ship for free and walk around.
Sure.
So it's not like you're banned or you must stay or anything like that. So yeah, you could do it where it would be kind of a one price, all inclusive, for quite a lot of what would, be anybody's level of entertainment.
Right. I mean, you probably won't do that, but that is a possibility. And also, like, soda is included if you're a soda drinker. If the kids like soda, there is free soda on the pool deck for everybody. Coffee, tea. Also, there's free ice cream on the pool deck and everything if you want some free ice cream. So that's all included within the price. And Mickey Premium ice cream bars free. So anyway, so some other things you want to consider when you're thinking about the price of the cruise, and if you're looking for better seasons to get a better price. First off is, of course, cabin choice. What are you looking for? Are you looking for an inside cabin? Are you looking for a window, an ocean view, a balcony? If you're going to splurge, going up to a concierge type cabin or whatever, that's always going to be taken in part. To me, it depends on what your itinerary is like. If you're going port heavy and you're going to be getting off of ports a lot and you don't plan on spending a fair amount of time in your room, then an inside cabin or an ocean view cabin is just fine. If you like to relax out, and watch the ocean go by or enjoy then maybe a balcony cabin is more your thing. I love balconies personally, but we've enjoyed the ocean views many, many times, and they have really great big portholes in a lot of those ocean view cabins, so you really get a fairly good view as well.
Oh yeah, the ocean views on the Disney cruise ships are marvelous. And I've done them a lot. Yeah, I would say probably almost the majority of them, I would think, were just ocean views. And yes, you're right, the porthole is giant and you get great views. You don't feel like you're not able to look out and see what's going on. You can also go on deck and, there's deck chairs everywhere, on multiple different decks. Some are less, are quieter. They have also the adult pool area that, there aren't kids there. So there's a lot of ways to be outside in the air and get great views of the ocean.
Yep, exactly. So again, back to pricing, if you're looking for when to book, it's definitely just like anything else. If you think about going to the Disney parks, seasonally is what you have to look at. There's certain times of the year that are going to be more expensive, and there's certain times of the year that are going to be less expensive. Obviously, if you're going through times when most of the kids are out of school, say the holidays or, summer vacation or whatever the case may be, a lot of times those are going to be a higher price because most of these cruises are built to bring families on board. You can have a great cruise. We do it all the time just as adults enjoying ourselves on this cruise. But, this ship is basically built to bring on families and have things to do for the entire family. So be prepared for that. And when you're going through and trying to do the math on deciding what length cruise you want to do, you'll look at it and you'll see, okay, the 3 and 4 day cruises, a lot of times the whole amount will be cheaper. But if you're thinking about the possibility of jumping up to a 7-day cruise or something along those lines, don't forget to do the math on what it costs per day. Because a lot of times cost per day on a 7-day cruise versus a 3, 4, or even shorter, like a 2-day cruise, can be significantly different. So kind of keep an eye on that. As with any Disney vacation, you kind of want to do the math on this and find out what's right for you.
Right. And look for offers and things, especially if you're Florida residents. Obviously, they have more offers for that, the military discounts, etc. So.
Yeah, they have specials running regularly, so keep an eye out for that as well. And also there are themed cruises, which tend to be on a little bit on the higher price as well, but they are a lot of fun. We've done a few of these. There's the Star Wars and Marvel Day at Sea. Michelle's wearing her Star Wars Day at Sea cruise t-shirt right now. We've also done the Halloween on the High Seas, which is going on currently, which is a lot of fun as well. And there's the Very Maritime cruises going on. They usually start up in around November and move in through December. Those are a blast as well. So check for those if you really want to do those are great, but those could be a little bit higher priced as well.
Yeah. And they, but they offer a little bit more, like the Halloween one, you can go trick-or-treating, and they have other types of entertainment that are Halloween themed. And so, yes, they're a little bit more expensive, but they also up some of the amenities that they're providing you.
Right. You have a lot of those are really cool cruises. Again, we haven't done the Marvel Day at Sea, and we actually haven't done a Very Maritime cruise yet.
I've done a partial premiere.
Have you?
Yeah, it was when it first started, and so they had all the ship decorations, and they were starting some of the things, but they've made it much bigger than it was when I took it with Scott.
Very nice. So once you finally put all this equation together, kind of like this water bottle here, as Jack's working out the equation on how to figure out Christmas. Once you put all this math together, figure out the right itinerary for the right price and everything for you, then it's time to book. And when you book, all you have to do is put down a 20% deposit of what the total amount will be on your cruise. So, and this is totally refundable. So if you even think you might cancel up to 120 days before you're sailing, you can still get all that money back, change your mind, or change the date of the cruise. Or if you see the price drop for whatever reason, you can also book it at that different price. So once you decide that this is the one for me, you just have to go. You can either go, you can call Disney Cruise Line, you can go online, or you can contact a travel agent and just go ahead and book it. You just have to put the 20% deposit down on it and you're ready to go. Michelle, yes.
And sometimes they have specials where they drop the requirement for 20% and drop it down to like 10%. So sometimes that might be, especially if you're booking something in advance and you're saving your money for it, you can have a smaller deposit time at that moment to be able to get this rolling.
Yes, they often keep an eye out for those because they often have those specials going on when you're looking at booking. I would always suggest to use a travel agent for this. You can even book on your own and then transfer your cruise to a travel agent. But I will always suggest using a travel agent when you're doing a Disney cruise. One, because they can handle a lot of the detail work that you may not be able to do or know about or whatever. But two, they will often give you something a little bit on the side, a little bit of pixie dust. I can't guarantee that everyone will do that, but a lot of times there's things like we've gotten anything from small flower arrangements in our cabin up to whole photo packages, up to, and bottles of wine and stuff like that. And it's, it doesn't cost you anything extra to go through a travel agent, but sometimes they just give you that little bit extra boost. And sometimes if something should go a little bit sideways while you're on the trip, and that doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while something can happen with itinerary changes or whatever. That person can handle things from the land that you might not be able to handle as easily while you're on the cruise itself. So it's always good to kind of have that person that can help you in your back pocket.
Right. And they can also answer questions too that you might think of as you're going along, that they have that experience as well.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the process I would say to if you're going to book the cruise. Now we've got your cruise booked. Let's get on to the pre-planning, which is also a lot of fun. And for the pre-planning of your cruise, I'm going to go to Michelle because she tends to do most of our pre-planning for our cruises. So Michelle, please let everybody know what they can do as they're getting for that date from booking up into actual sail date.
Right. So a lot of people love to do a lot of planning for their vacations. I'm certainly one of those who very meticulous details, and other people don't care to do as much. So that's what's great about a Disney cruise is that you can do as little or as much pre-planning as you want to. And but if you do want to do it, there's a lot of things, and it's just fun. It's part of the journey. And I'm going to give our code word of the day, which is voyage.
Voyage.
Ta-da.
Voyage. Thank you. Back to you, Michelle.
So as you prepare for your voyage, there's a couple things. There is one thing that you do need to decide ahead of time. You may be able to change it, but that is your dinner seating. So on the Disney cruise ships, they have 2 dinner seatings, and one is earlier than the other. The earlier one tends to be very kid heavy in comparison. So if you do have kids and you think that's what you prefer to do, you can book that first seating. Otherwise, you can go to the second seating, which is a little later. And you just, what they do is they flip-flop the entertainment when you go for entertainment. So if you go for early seating dinner, you do your big show in the after that. If you go to the late dinner seating, you actually get to see some of your productions before you go to dinner.
Right. So essentially, if you're early seating, it's dinner and a show. If you're late seating, it's show and dinner.
Right. And so it's generally, if you're concerned and you're not sure, then it's easier if you book the first seating ahead of time, because you can pretty much generally speaking, get to the second seating, to change it to a second seating, whereas it's harder to go from a second seating to a first seating.
Yeah, first seating almost always books up solid.
Right.
And there are some changes that you can do within that, but it's a little bit more tough. Second seating is always much easier to maneuver, whether it be to actually change to having second seating, or if you want to change, your tables. Do you want a smaller table? Like
Right.
if it's just the two of you, two adults, a table for two, table for four, whatever the case may be.
Right. Very good point. And so, and it's not something to stress over, because you can make it work no matter what. If you were, to the situation where you booked a second seating and you couldn't get into a first seating and you have kids, don't worry. There's plenty of ways to have snacks or food beforehand, so that can tide them over. So anyway, so that would be one decision that you do need to actually prepare for I think usually when you're booking, they require that information
right away. That's part
away.
of the things right away. Is I think
Right.
they automatic default to first seating if you don't happen to notice it, as long as it's available to you. But if you prefer second seating, you'll want to click that box if you're online, or tell them when you're booking it.
So the other thing you want to do is download the app, because it has a countdown clock.
Yeah, that's fun.
So as soon as you get your reservation, you put that into the app and it automatically does the countdown for you. But it's also going to be a useful app before your trip and definitely during your trip.
I was actually just looking at, because they've recently revamped
Right.
the Navigator app, and I was just looking at the other day for our cruise that we have coming up, and there's so much more to it than there used to be. It used to be just before you got on the ship, it was just the countdown clock. It
Right.
really wasn't much else to it. But now it has all sorts of information about your sailing, and it lets you know important dates that you have coming up, as far as like when you have final payment and
Right.
everything. So really is much more an app that you're going to want from day one when you book your cruise now.
Right. It's kind of similar to the My Disney experience,
Right.
Whether you're talking the Disney World, Disneyland apps, or what's online. It's sort of comparable to that, but it's definitely something fun to have. The other thing you will want to obviously probably take into consideration is your transportation arrangements to and from the port. So if you're not a local and you're flying in, you would have to consider how are you going to get to the port, and then afterwards how are you going to get back to either the airport or a hotel or whatever. And that's also where a travel agent can be very beneficial to help you coordinate that and arrange for those transfers.
And we'll have some tips for you on that, especially for Port Canaveral, a little bit later on when we go through more of our tips segment as we
Right.
go on. So
Right.
just
And
be
some
aware.
people, rent cars, and some people have, drive to the location. And I've done that when I lived in Miami. I would drive to Port Canaveral and just park there. And, so, I mean, it's just something to consider. And then eventually you're going to need to have that information, because you're going to do your online check-in there. And that is a lot of information that we won't go into the details now, but it's really like prepping so that once you get to the port, you're all checked in and they have all your credit card information, and it really helps expedite that process, especially since they need to have passport information, etc. So that app is very, very beneficial. So then you want to take a look at, and I know you're going to talk a little bit about activities, but the other thing that you're going to want to look at are, what are some things to take into consideration if you want to plan some special occasions or other fun things. So obviously, one of the things you're going to want to consider is when you go to port, do you want to do an excursion or not? Do you want to do some ports do excursion, others not, whatever. I mean, we find that when we're new to the port, we do an excursion. If it's one that we've been to multiple times, then that might be pool day and we don't even get off the ship. So, something to take a look at. But if you look at your itinerary, you see it all laid out, what days you're going to be going to which ports and what days are sea days. And most of the things we're going to talk about here are things that you, again, can do without any additional fees. But there are some things that we want to add in if you do want to splurge. And the number one thing that I would say for splurging is on sea days to book Apollo brunch. And that's an adult only, so 18 and over. But if you are going on, and that is a really special brunch. It's really great food, a lot of food. And that's the one splurge that if you don't want to do anything else that you might want to take into consideration, especially if you're celebrating a birthday or an anniversary or something special, that would be a great way to do that. And it is more expensive, but it's not hugely expensive.
No, it's not compared to what you'll pay for a brunch, on the shore side. For a lot of places, and for what the food and drink and everything that you get involved with it, it's not a bad price at all.
Right. So the other activities that you can consider booking in advance is spa treatments, that you'd want to do that if you are planning to, splurge on something like that. Also, they have beverage tastings.
Mm-hmm.
They have various beverage tastings on different cruises. So they may have like a martini tasting or a champagne tasting. Sometimes they have the mixology class where they're showing you different cocktails, but then you get to create your own. And so those are some things that you may want to consider doing. They do have character greetings. Those are not for that, but you do need to get a ticket for it.
Mm-hmm.
So you can arrange for that in advance, and you would again do that through the app or online. And you can also arrange for a character phone call. So you get to pick which character you want to call in a time, and it's a pre-recorded call from a character, but it's fun. I know.
I thought that was Goofy calling
I
me.
know,
what are you
right?
talking about?
Just for you. Exactly. So those are things that when you're looking at your itinerary, looking at the days, you want to take a look at. So it's mainly, excursion or not, sea day, what kind of things. Now, on sea days, the other thing to consider is they have a ton of fun activities going on board, that would really hit the such a variety of interests that they have for entertainment and activities on sea days. So don't think that if you're on a sea day that it's just going to be all boring and you're going to sit in your room or whatever. Not at all. There's a lot of fun things to do and prizes to be had.
Yes, definitely. We've won a few prizes. A lot of fun. Also, just to let you know, as far as some important information when before you set sail for booking, some dates that you'll need to know. You'll need to, as I mentioned earlier, be paid in full to your cruise at 120 days out from your sailing date. So know that going in. Now, if you decide that one, you don't want to go on this cruise, you can cancel at any time up to that point. Or if you decide that, the dates aren't working for me anymore, I want to change it, you can move it to a different date. You can move this booking to a different cruise at some other point along. So until you paid in full, you can always shift your sailing. Also, once you get to that paid in full date, you'll need to know some ideas when you can book some of these possibilities that Michelle's talking about, whether it be dining reservations, whether it be shore excursions, character greetings, tasting seminars, whatever the case may be. And it depends on what your status is within the Castaway Club, essentially. If you are concierge or Platinum Castaway Club members, as soon as you pay in full 120 days out, you can start booking your reservations. If you're a Gold Castaway Club member, which is 5 or more sailings, you can do it at 105 days out. Silver Castaway Club members, which just means you've sailed at least once with Disney Cruise, that's at 90 days out. And if it's your first ever Disney Cruise, your date is 75 days from your date of sailing. That's when you can start making your bookings, and those begin at midnight Eastern time. So when you exactly hit that time on your cruise, you want to get in there and start booking some of this stuff, because some of this stuff will go pretty quickly.
Right. And don't feel discouraged if there's something in particular that you want that is filled up in advance, because they do also reserve some bookings for different, whether it's spa treatments or specialty dining, those type of things that they do reserve some in advance for onboard booking.
That leads right into a question we got from Nate and Serena again from at DVC Duo. They said, if Palo has reservation spots unavailable pre-cruise, do more reservations open up for Palo once you board the ship? And the answer to that is
yes.
Yes. Most of the time, they always hold back some reservations for people who get on the ship. If the earlier you get on, the quicker you can get in there and try and book something, the more likely you are to get it. Brunch, like Michelle said earlier, is only for sea days. So depending on how many sea days you have, there may be less availability for that. So you're going to want to jump on that as quickly as possible. But when you get on board, even if they say they don't have anything available, get on the waiting list and see, because a lot of times people will change plans, things will cancel, things, they find room for a table, whatever the case may be. There are a lot of occasions where you can get on, and you're limited on how many you can book ahead of time. If you're looking for a second or a third possible specialty dining, they won't let you do that ahead of time, but they will allow you, once you get on board, if something opens up for you, they will sometimes allow you a second or possibly even a third specialty dining option.
Right. It all depends on how quickly it gets booked up, and they're obviously trying to allow as many people the experience at least once if they are so inclined to wanting that. So it's great that they do that. So would you like me to get into food and restaurant?
Let me get into entertainment first, and then we'll get back to you for food. More food, because the food is good on board a Disney Cruise Line. So we're going to talk a little bit about entertainment, because Michelle was just referring to it just a moment ago about how, if you're going on board and you're thinking you're just going to sit in your cabin or just watch the ocean go by. And yes, you can do that if that's what you want to do. I like to do that a lot. I like to go sit on the balcony or just sit somewhere in a nice chair and read a good book while I'm on a cruise. I like to do that a lot. But that doesn't have to be the case. I mean, a lot of people are concerned about that going on a Disney cruise. They're used to going to the parks. They're used to having a lot of things to do all the time. And what about a Disney cruise? It might be boring. That is as far from the truth as possible. There are things going on throughout the day. And I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the many things that you will have to do while you're on board the ship. And it starts right from when you board the ship. There is entertainment going on right as you walk. I'm not going to give it away, but right as you walk on ship is your first entertaining thing that will happen to you. And then it goes and extends on right on to when you get onto the deck, and they already have funnel vision where they have movies at sea. They're playing music. They have the sail away party, which is one of the greatest parties you'll ever
get. It's the best sail away on any cruise.
Right. Get your vacation going in a rockin', fun, family-friendly, everybody, is out there enjoying it way with Disney characters and everything. You'll fully enjoy it. When you really talk about Disney entertainment, what sets them apart is their stage shows, however. There are so many wonderful, wonderful stage shows that if you're a Disney fan, you are going to want to attend every single one of them when you're on a Disney cruise, because they're all phenomenal and the whole family will enjoy them. And here's some of the specialty ones. Now, there are some that are kind of or some sort of variation of the same theme that happen on all Disney ships. There's usually like a couple that are more specialized, like, the Golden Mickeys or Disney Dreams or whatever the case may be, which is on several of the ships, or some sort of way of some sort of shape of that same show. However, some things that you may know a little bit better from some of the films that which are adaptations they've made for the stage for these Disney cruises. They have different ones for each ship. So like the Wonder has Frozen, a musical spectacular. So if you're a fan of Frozen, that's a great show. The Magic has Tangled, the musical, which is spectacular and brought complete tears to my eyes. It was so beautiful. They also had Twice Charmed, an original twist on the Cinderella story, which we got to see them re-debut when we were on a transatlantic cruise a couple years back, and it was just really, really fun.
Yeah, they really made some significant changes to some of the plot and everything, and it really it just sparked it up. I mean, I like the original one, but the remake of it was really spectacular.
Yeah, exactly. On the Fantasy, they have Disney's Aladdin, a musical spectacular. So if you're a big fan of Aladdin, that's a great show. And just recently, it was just within the last couple of years on the Disney Dream, they started doing Beauty and the Beast. So those are some of the specialty Broadway style shows you can see on there, but there are so many other things. The entertainment at night, the shows, really dinner and a show every night is so much fun aboard a Disney cruise.
You said it. And if you also are looking to, get some more ideas of what this looks like, a lot of people do post pictures of their paper navigators that they've received, and you can look those up. There's some that have it. You can look at the same type of itinerary. Now, obviously, some things will change, like obvious movies, because they may have more current movies than what somebody did, a year ago or 3 months ago. But in terms of like what you're talking about, the big entertainment, those will stay consistent. But that's a way to also really get to have a feel for it and to have a better understanding too, like when you are planning what you want to do on the cruise.
Yep. Agreed. If you go to Disney Cruise Line blog,
Right.
DisneyCruiseLineBlog.com, I believe. But anyway, if you look up Disney Cruise Line blog, I post a lot of trip reports, a lot of navigators, a lot of menus, and other things. So it's really a great reference point if you want to look for a lot of stuff on Disney Cruise. And of course, you can always ask us too. Along with the shows, they also, as Michelle has referenced earlier, they have first run movies in the Buena Vista Theater. And yes, if there is a movie that is debuting when you're out at sea, they will actually have like a midnight showing of the first, when it debuts, just like it debuts on the theater in the continental U.S., whatever it may be. So you can go. We saw, what was it, Tomorrowland one time.
We got to go in our pajamas and slippers and watch it at midnight.
But that goes for everything. We have Maleficent coming up here next week. We have Frozen 2 coming up in November. We have Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. All of those will debut on Disney ships the night they debut in the theaters. So and that is a lot of fun. And some are more attended than others, so be prepared for that. But if you can't stay up till midnight, or if you don't get in because it's so busy, or whatever the case may be, the day after they do tend to show it a couple more times, so you will get to see it in there. But they also have other movies that are still running in theaters that are Disney, or they also have some of the classics as well. And speaking of the classics, a lot of those are shown on Funnel Vision, which is the kind of the screen that's right above the family-friendly pool in the middle of the ship, and they show a lot of great movies throughout the day, and sometimes it's episodes of different animated series. If you're a sports fan, like say it's football season right now, we're recording right in the middle of NFL season right now, they'll usually have a game on up there. So if you're a football fan, you're afraid you might miss the best game that you enjoy. A lot of times they'll have those on there as well. There's also dance clubs for both families and adults that you can go, and they have lots of activities in there throughout the day, but at night turns into a dance club and family dance, or there's more of an adult type dance club. Sometimes they'll have some acts in there doing some different things, and that's a lot of fun. As far as the kids clubs, the Oceaneer Club and the Oceaneer Lab, the best kids clubs you will find on the ocean. There's so many activities going on throughout the day. This is for ages 3 to 12. And it's just, they have things for all different, whether your child likes princesses, whether they like superheroes, whether they like Star Wars, there is stuff going on for them throughout the day, and they'll really have a blast. And then it's also great if you want to take some adult time and go have an adult dinner or do some other things. Believe me, the kids will not mind going in there while you have a couple hours to, be a couple or just do whatever you want as adults.
Right. And they also have open houses there, so you can take a look and see what kind of things that they have or what it looks like. But they do have some great programs, like for the, more the toddler age, they have tons of like dress up days where they have costumes, they bring in characters. For the kids that are older, they have a lot more hands-on, fun chemistry and Marvel things, and they also have meet and greets there. But they also have, like you said, that those clubs go to up to age 12, but they also have for other age groups as well. In fact, they just reimagined the one for the Disney Wonder. So for the tweens and young teens, they have a great area and activities. So they really are very conscientious to the desires of making everybody in the family have the best time ever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they want you to be sure that all different ages, obviously a kid who's 14 or 15 doesn't really want to hang out with a kid who's 5 necessarily. So they do have some clubs that are called Edge and Vibe, which are built for some of the older kids to enjoy.
Right. And if you've done a Disney cruise ship in the last few years and you have had an experience that wasn't as entertaining for your kids, we want to talk about something that they've revamped. They've actually gone back to kind of their roots when they first started the Disney Cruise Line. They had these age group separations, and then they started letting there be some bleeding of age to go to different areas. And they found that it was hard to really get kids involved because they may have several 10-year-olds along with a 2 and a 4-year-old, and it was hard for the counselors to really get everybody to be involved in things. So they were starting to let kids actually have some free play. And we've experienced this with some family members as well. And the kids weren't as entertained because of that. So we're really happy that they have gone back to really being more structured.
Mm-hmm.
And I know some people don't like that because they think, oh, we want our siblings to be together. And you can talk to the counselors and see what they can offer for you. But it really is to make the experience better for the kids to have those separations and have the activities really geared to the age groups.
Yeah. And we also seen kids that, the parents will want to do stuff with them, do family time or whatever. And the kids don't want to leave the club. They're having so much fun.
Right.
They're like, nope, you go do your thing. I'm staying in the club. But you can always find a good balancing point between the two things there. So really is great. And I'm glad they're adapting back to the way things were to begin with. And that's really great. Now, we talked about the kids stuff and the family stuff, but we also need to talk about the adult stuff because yes, a lot of times people think about, why would I want to go on a Disney cruise, especially if you're just like adults, it's like,
right.
Well, it's just a bunch of kids running around. It's just a family thing or whatever. And yes, that's very true, but there also is a very great adult portion of the ship, including the Quiet Cove pool, which is such a wonderful, wonderful space as an adult to just enjoy an area. Satellite Falls on Disney Dream and the Disney Fantasy is a great
right.
area as well. All at the front of the ship is the entire adult area. But there's lots of adult activities, including cooking demonstrations, right. Some talks. Sometimes, like if you're going through Alaska or the Panama Canal, they'll have some discussions on a lot of that they put into it. We've been on a transatlantic cruise where they did a lot of discussion on the history of Disney, which
right.
was really fun. There's also, Michelle referenced this earlier, the alcohol tasting, which is another thing you're going to want to book earlier because that is extremely popular. They do things, all sorts of different things, but like they do champagne tastings, wine tasting, mixology, Michelle referenced. You will want to book those if you are a fan of wine, champagne. They're really a lot of fun. You get a fair amount of these drinks for when you're in there. As a matter of fact, I've seen some people who've done back to back and they've had a little tough time getting back to their cabin
right.
afterwards. That may have been me.
Nah.
And if you can't pre-reserve those for whatever reason, you don't get in there, they're booked up, whatever, you can try and do it when you get on board. Also, I've seen tips of if you just show up for whichever tasting you wanted to get to and just kind of hang out nearby and tell them you're interested. A lot of times, and we've seen this when we've been in there, there's
right.
a table that no one's filled and they will fit you in. It's almost like flying standby on
right.
the tastings.
Right,
and you,
right.
a lot of times, can get into these. So do try and attempt that. So.
Yeah. And just to clarify with those are an additional fee.
Yes.
But it would just be as if you were, like you mentioned, you're getting a lot of tasting if you would go to the bar and order a drink or whatever. But they are fun. They're interactive. It's not like what you would think of as going on and you're sitting at a table and there's some really serious person telling you all about this particular wine or whatever. You will get information, but they make it really entertaining, really fun.
Yeah, it's I haven't been disappointed at any time we've done
right.
this. Every single one of them I've enjoyed, and I think that if you're a fan of going out and having a cocktail every once in a while, you would enjoy that as well. So there's also like all sorts of stuff going on for all ages throughout the day. Trivia, arts and crafts. If you're on the Disney Dream or the Disney Fantasy, there's the Midship Detective Agency, which is kind of an interactive game that you play in the middle of the ship involving some of the picture frames and stuff. And it happens to involve #Save the Muppets.
Right.
It's really it's a blast. It goes for all ages. Kids will enjoy it, but Michelle really got a kick out of it herself.
You get to play detective. It's kind of like almost like a fun mystery scavenger hunt-ish kind of game that you can do. You can do it at your own pace. You can try to go through a whole series of things. You can just do one each day. It's whatever you want, but it is fun. It's they use high technology to make that an interactive experience.
So it's kind of like if you think you go to Magic Kingdom and either you see or you've played Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. That's kind of the same idea behind it, but you just don't need the cards, but there are some notes to take and some other things, but it's a lot of fun.
Right. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
So, and they also give you like some things that you can pick up at guest services, some activities that you can do throughout the day. There's all sorts of things going on. Believe me, you're going to get your navigator, whether it's on the app or on the paper version of it, and you're going to look through and you're going to have some struggles at times trying to choose between things to do because there's so much to do and they'll run into one another once in a while.
Right. And, yeah, try them all. But, the other thing you were mentioning about for adults, and it really is easy to just kind of, I don't want to say seclude yourself from the kids, but you can just select the activities, the parts of the ship that are geared towards adult only, and you don't feel like you're, not that we have anything against kids. We love kids. We've gone with kids. We've, taken our
all the
kids
time.
and but I'm just saying let's say somebody is on their honeymoon and they just really want to feel like this is more of an adult experience. It's not hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can do it as much as you want. Of course, a lot of people are on this cruise to be there for family time, and you can absolutely do that, and you could break away if you want to have a little adult time. However, and we've done this many times on our own without kids. We've gone to, as Michelle talked about, with kids many times, but we've also gone alone and had huge chunks of the day where we're just doing adult stuff,
right?
Sitting at the adult pool, going to the coffee shop, going to some of the adult clubs. And you would hardly know that you're on this cruise with thousands of kids.
Right, exactly. And they do have, like you said, they do have activities. They have everything is set up to do it, whether it's with families or parallel with adults only. So like if you like trivia games, then you can go to one that's just adult only, or you could go to one with your whole family. They just give you the different options.
Yeah, and that's what we've talked about this many times with Disney Cruise. They want to be all inclusive for everything. Yes, they want to be able to have this whole family experience. That's what a lot of people are there for. But we've done it many times. We've known other people that have done it many times that just want to go to have a nice cruise just as a couple or whatever the case may be. And Disney does help do that for you. They do give you that option to be able to have a nice regular adult cruise, even though people will hear you're going on a Disney cruise, without kids, and they may scoff at you, but it is a blast. Just like going to the Disney parks as adults can be a blast as well.
Yes.
So,
good point.
All right, enough with the entertainment. Let's get to what we really want to hear about. That is the food. Michelle, please tell us about the Disney food.
Well, okay. So I'm going to really focus on what is all inclusive in your price. And I'll point out a few things that might be add on if you choose to do that, but you really don't need to do that when it comes to food because they give you a lot of options and a lot of variety. So breakfast and lunch, they're pretty similar. There will be a buffet with a variety of menu items. It's at Cabanas. Some things will be consistent, especially some kid-friendly food that they might have that every day. So if you have a kid that only wants to eat macaroni and cheese every single day of the cruise, then
we run into that before. I don't know.
Maybe, so they will have some, but for the most part, it's a variation each day. And they also have different cultural type food. So they might have an area that is, with on one day with Mexican and another that might be more Asian infusion or different variety. So going to the buffet, you do get to have a lot of different options to try, and try a little taste of everything. They also will have one of the dining rooms at least open for breakfast or for lunch. And that's more of a sit down table service. Again, it's included. You don't have to get a check at the end. You just get up and leave. And then also they have a lot of fun snack things, especially by the pool area to make it easy, for family or kids. If you want to just stop for a moment and get a quick bite, they have like pizza, burgers, veggie burgers, hot dogs, chicken nuggets. So those are available pretty much all day, but it makes it really convenient just to, you could be at the pool area and just like, I just need a little something to tide me over. And, and they also have areas sometimes that have more healthy options like sandwiches or salads and things like
fruit
that.
Salads,
right.
Stuff like that. And also, at least on the Disney Magic and Disney Wonder, the shawarma.
That's
love
what I
the
had
shawarma.
here. See in my notes.
Yes.
Yeah, for the larger ships, they have shawarma. So you really can have a lot of opportunity. And I know people have heard this about cruises always too, but just for Disney, that they are obviously having an inclusion of kid-friendly food at all these locations. What's really, really fun is the issue of the dinners, because they have entertainment during the mealtime that can make it really, really fun. And we love the entertainment they have during the meal times, but it's also very helpful when you've got kids. If they seem, you don't want them to seem to be getting fidgety, and yet you want to have a meal with them. So they really do a great job at that. Now, what Disney is unique about is their dining rotation. And what that means is that you and whoever you're with, your family, will be assigned to a different dining room each night, and your servers accompany you. So from day one, they get to meet you and know what kind of things you like, what kind of things your kids like, and they're with you at every meal from then on. So you may go to a different dining room the next day, but you're going to have the same friendly faces that are going to help you out with food selection and, helping out with cutting the kids' meat and things like that.
So the dining rotation, there usually there are 3 main dining rooms on every Disney cruise, and so you'll start in one, and then the next night you'll go to the second one, and then the next night you'll go to the third one, and then if you're longer than that, then you'll continue the rotation around to the different dining rooms as you go along. And just like Michelle said, yes, the wait staff goes with you to whichever dining room you are moving on to next. And I talked about entertainment before. Yes, the entertainment does not end when you're in the dining room. There is stuff going on a lot of times during dinner as well.
Right. And we don't want to spoil any surprises for anybody who wants to go on a Disney cruise. We can just reassure you that it is marvelous. They are really fun, and they have a variety. Some things may be, interacting with music or characters or other type of visual stimulation, but it is really, they've done such amazing job at making these restaurants be a fun experience as well as your dining experience.
Yeah, they do. And like Michelle mentioned before, they know that when they're going to these big dinners that they're going to have various different ages there at a lot of these tables. And you know how quickly some kids can be, distracted or, get bored sitting at a dining room table. And they prepare for that. So they try and provide some different sorts of entertainment for them. It could be just as simple as the servers kind of entertaining the kids as they're going by the table, but they also know that they will probably serve the kids their food first, because they're probably, if the food isn't there and they're just sitting at the table, they're probably going to be the ones that are going to get fidgety the first. So they've taken all these things into account to make sure this is as family friendly as possible.
Yeah. So if you're new to cruising, one of the things that's a really plus is that you get to try as much of the food that's on the menu as you want. So you're not stuck to one appetizer, one entree, one dessert. You can have 3 appetizers, 2 entrees, or whatever you want. You mix it up. And that's fun too, because then you get to try different things if there's something unique. And they do try to have something unique on the menu most nights that you like, I've never had that before. And, give it a try, but don't worry, you're going to have backup ready if it's not meeting your taste buds or whatever. But, don't be shy about asking for things. I've gone on sometimes and really have said, okay, I'd like every appetizer on this menu. I couldn't choose just one.
Yeah, or desserts. There's 2 different desserts, and maybe you get one for each of you, and you get one that you were both thinking about to share in the middle, or something along those lines. Entrees, same thing. Sometimes we've gotten hey, they have both lobster and they have prime rib. It's like, well, I don't want to decide between the 2 of those. Well, you get a lobster in the middle, and you get the prime rib, and so or you can even just order a lobster tail with your prime rib or whatever. The servers will work with you to try and give you the food you want, but and again, no extra cost for any of that.
Exactly. And we can't speak highly enough about the servers. They are amazing. They've all been really trained to be sensitive to the issues of, having kids of different ages there. And, like Tom mentioned, making sure to expedite getting the kids' food out, sometimes even ahead of some of the adult, because they do have kid menus as well. And obviously, Disney has really been promoting having dietary sensitivity issues or allergy issues. So just let your servers know they're really there, willing to help. And I wasn't joking. The servers will help cut up the food so you can be sitting enjoying your meal while they're helping the kids. And they really interact with the kids, and they try to get to know the kids and know what some of their favorite characters are or whatever, and then have an ability to interact with the kids. So again, the adults can have an adult conversation. And obviously you're going to be there as a family and enjoying each other, but there's those special moments that you can also have as well.
Yeah, they really do a really great job of trying to adapt this as well as possible to everybody that's involved in the party there, whether it be if it's just two adults out for dinner or whether it be an entire family. They try and make it as easy as possible for you to enjoy a nice dinner out.
Right. Now, if you choose the second seating dinner, they have an option called Dine and Play. And this is where they will really help try to expedite getting your kids' meal out early on in the meal time. And if there is entertainment, they're going to make sure the kids are there for the entertainment. But after that, the youth counselors from the different kids activity clubs actually come around to the restaurant, and they are available to gather your kids and take them to like the Oceaneer Club or Lab to start having fun. And that allows you as adults just to sit back, maybe finish your dessert, have a cup of coffee or a cocktail, and just know that the kids are out having a blast, and the parents are being able to just sit and enjoy. So if you do end up with the second seating, you have that special opportunity there and the kids love it too. And you don't have to pre-register for it. It's when the counselors come, they make an announcement that they're there, and you can get them signed in at that moment.
And you can also tell your servers that that's what you're planning on doing. They'll get the food out to the kids even that's more quickly, so they can be ready to go when the time comes. And it's nice if you just want to have a more leisurely dinner, but also afterwards, if you say you want to go for an after dinner cocktail or to the nightclub or whatever, the kids are already in the club and having a good time.
Right.
And so you can go out and have your own club good time. Or
Exactly.
if you're there with other friends or whatever, the adults can have a nice leisurely coffee, extra dessert, whatever the case may be. So really is a nice benefit that Disney does for the second seating dinners. And it makes sense to get the kids eating earlier, because that it tends to be, obviously it's a later seating. It's relatively late when you're eating dinner. By the time you're served it, it's a lot of times around 9:00 by the time you're eating. So that could be a little late for the kids. So trying to get them moved along a little more quickly also is a benefit for that kind of time.
Yeah. And gosh, I wish we could share the secrets of the entertainment, but it's not like you're sitting there in a lounge and there's somebody singing. It's a fun, Disney, they're going to make it an enjoyable experience. So that's, kind of in a nutshell, the things that are involved in the food that you wouldn't pay extra for. It comes with, your cruise fare already. But if you do want to have a special evening, they do have Palos on all of their ships. And then on the larger ships, the Dream and the Fantasy, they also have Remy's. And those are more upscale type restaurants. They are adults only. One of the benefits is as you become a platinum member, you get a free...
You go bragging again.
Something to work towards. But you get a free Palo dinner. So it's included in your fare as a platinum member. So, but if not, if you're not at that level yet, you might want to consider splurging on one of those evenings as well. And they are amazing. So Palos is kind of a Italian themed.
I believe it's Northern Italian is what it is. But it's the food is excellent.
Right. And so you do pay more to go into that restaurant, but everything is included. Well, other than alcohol. So you can try multiple dishes. You're not paying per dish. You're just paying to be at that restaurant. And it also covers, some of the tips and things like that as well.
And it really is, the service there is top notch. It's really nice, quiet dinner, it's for adults only. So, it won't be as possibly loud as the dining room could be. It's just a really nice, quiet, romantic place to have dinner with either you, or if you have if you're there with some other adults, to have, a table
friends.
for 4, table for 6, whatever the case may be. But it really is great food, and totally enjoy it, and well worth the price. I don't know what it is now. Is it up to $45 now?
I know they just had an increase several months ago. But yeah, it is definitely.
I should have
worth
looked it up beforehand, but I know it's up around. I think it's around $40 or $45. It's gone up a little bit over the last few years. But if you think about going out to a night at dinner at a really nice restaurant and having many courses and everything, and think about the price of it, it's really, really reasonable for such a wonderful, wonderful meal.
Yes, and what's really nice is you are at a part of the ship that it has all windows. So if it's still light out, you get to see what's going on outside in the ocean. It's a really great place. The servers there are wonderful. They will be very helpful to recommend different types of dishes and based on your tastes, and they really know what questions to ask to get that, or if you're not sure, they'll allow you to try different things. So it's fabulous. Now, we've also done Remy's.
Mm-hmm.
That is even more upscale.
That is another level.
That
entirely.
Is a total. I mean, Palos is a huge level above, the regular dining rooms in terms of the quality of the food and the type of dishes, etc. Remy's is exceptional.
Oh. Yeah. Remy, if you think about Remy, what you're going to equate it to is kind of Victoria and Albert's, if you know Walt Disney World at all, and think about what kind of level that restaurant is. Well, one of the chefs that designed Remy's menu is one of the main chef or the head chef that helped design Victoria and Albert. Right. So that kind of gives you an idea of it. It's an incredible meal. It's not cheap. Okay.
Right.
It's not. However, compared to Victoria and Albert, it's about half that price.
Right, that's true.
So it's going to be a major splurge no matter what you're talking about. However, it's compared to what you would pay on land for a very similar meal. It's pretty actually a bargain in many regards. But it may be one of the best meals I've ever had, land or sea. When we were there for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And we did one that was I think it was 7-course tasting kind of, and we did 2 different styles so that we got a little bite of each other's, and it was phenomenal. I've never had food that has been so meticulously beautiful, but also the flavors are so amazing.
Mm-hmm. They really thought out every single dish. As someone who studied to be a chef, I appreciate it all. I appreciate the artistry of each and every plate, but it's not just about the artistry. Every ingredient is thought out. It pairs well together. The food is exquisite. Yes, I believe it was, like you said, a 7-course meal, but it was more than 7 courses actually, because there were other stuff that wasn't part of the meal that just kind of were served in between that were part of it. And it's also it's a longer meal. Okay, so you think 7 courses of food. Well, one thing that the servings are rather small, but also it's a drawn out, just relaxing, wonderful meal that takes over a couple hours. And just it's really luxurious and excellent. And I can't, if you have the money to do it, I can't say enough about it.
Absolutely, yeah. It is just such a unique experience, and one that you'll remember forever, because it's just amazing.
And you even walk away with some gifts as you leave the room. They give you some things to pack up and take with you, which is always wonderful as well.
Yeah, that's true. So the other thing related to food that I wanted to bring up are things that you may want to prepare to, again, this one would be more of an additional charge, but things for your cabin. But I also want to caution on it, it's not necessary. And I'll give you an example. The very first time I went on the Disney cruise, I pre-ordered and paid for a fruit and cheese platter to be delivered on the sail away day. And it was lovely and it was wonderful and I enjoyed it. But then after it happened, I realized it was so unnecessary, because on sail away, you board the ship and you go right away. You can start eating right away with lunch, either at Cabanas or one of the sit-down restaurants that they would have open. You can order free from room service, a smaller portion, but a cheese platter as well. So my recommendation for you, if you're thinking about ordering food for the cabin, think about something that may be more, that you want for a particular celebration. So for example, if it's a birthday or anniversary and you want a special cake, that you could maybe say, okay, we could do that. But you don't have to. Again, you don't have to do that, because you let them know you're celebrating a birthday, and in the dining room, they will bring you your own serving of a, birthday dessert, whether it be a cake or some other dessert, and they'll be glad to sing happy birthday to you. So, I mean, you can do that. But you don't have to, because they already provide so much for you. And speaking of room service, that's available once you sail until your last night. It's available 24/7, and you can order. It's a very small menu that they have, but it's free and it's available to you. So that's something that is a great thing to have extra. So the other thing in terms of pre-ordering things to go to your cabin, if you are celebrating something special, maybe consider a bottle of wine or a bottle of champagne, something like that. That could be, something you would be paying for anyways on board ship, and that would be a convenience having it already in your room. Anyways, that's just some things that I would recommend.
That's a good idea. Way to go.
Yeah.
So, so let's get how a basic day will go. We've gone through a lot of information here, and maybe we've driven you crazy with all our information, but hopefully it's helpful. But just kind of have an idea of how a day aboard a Disney cruise ship would go. And of course, you start off with waking up in the morning,
right,
aboard, hopefully refreshed from a nice night's sleep. There's one thing about I enjoy on a Disney cruise is that, you hardly feel the motion really a lot of times, unless the seas are really high. But you do get like a gentle little rocking occasionally. And I find that really nice to help you sleep at night.
Exactly.
It really is kind of really soothing. If you maybe you get a little sound of the ocean in the background, that's really nice. So a lot of times you wake up and you're really refreshed, and then you'll get up and it's time. If you get the family together, you can get them up, and you can go out to breakfast, or if you're up first and you want to let everybody else sleep in, then you head up and get a cup of coffee or whatever.
Right.
You'd agree, Michelle?
Exactly. Or you could have already arranged the night before for a continental breakfast to be delivered to your room at a certain time.
Right. And another thing you will have done the night before as well is you will have gone through the navigator, whether it be on your app or through the paperwork, and you'll kind of point out what things you want to be sure and hit that day, so you'll know how you want to get the day going. Do you want to get the kids? They will also list the activities that the kids will be able to do in the Oceaneer Lab and the Oceaneer Club. So are there certain things that they want to be sure and be in there for? Are there movies that you want to see? There's a trivia game that you want to do. Is there a cooking demonstration? Whatever the case may be, you'll probably have that kind of picked out the day before. And so then you'll get up, maybe do some breakfast, and then you'll head on to your different things that you want to do.
Right. So your activities, you'll have multiple activities throughout the day. So, some you may want to do as family some time together and some broken up, but, so you might go listen to a band, or, do a dance club, or play bingo, or, go to a movie and enjoy your morning with all amazing sorts of information. With amazing activities available to you. Like you've mentioned, there's arts and crafts. Those are usually done in the morning as well. Or an exercise class, so you'll get that done.
Yeah.
Then you're ready to eat some more.
It's back for lunch.
Lunch.
Whether it's by the pool, if you're lounging by the pool, we talked about all the food stands by the pool. You can just get something simple while the kids are playing and you are there. They do have bars by the pool. If you're looking for a cocktail in the middle of the day or whatever, that can be there. We talked about the free soda that you can pick up right by the pool as well. They also have as Michelle mentioned, the table seating lunch down at one of the dining rooms as well. If you want something a little more upscale, a little more served to you, and
right.
Regular, course lunch, and all the servings are pared down a little bit for lunch style servings, so you can have that ready to go. And then there's more activities in the afternoon. But the one activity we would always suggest, if you can possibly do it, if you can fit it in, if you can get the kids to agree to it, is find a time in the middle of the day when you can get a little rest, get a little nap in, whatever.
Yes.
Because the events will go late into the evening. And you know how people can wear out, especially kids that can know they've got so much stuff to do. And you get to the end and the energy starts to crash in the evening. So if you can make it happen, we would always recommend you finding a little spot in the day, even if it's just for a little 15-minute rest, just to kind of recharge the batteries.
Absolutely. Yeah. We have found a lot of times the easiest way to do that is maybe doing some pool time, and then from there go back to the room, freshen up, and take a little nap at that point, or a little rest, and recharge, like you said, recharge, and get ready for the other activities that come on into the evening.
Right. So getting to the evening, then once you're recharged, you've changed into whatever you're going to wear for the evening. And then it depends on what dining you have. Do you have the first seating or second seating? If you have first seating, then you're going to go to dinner around, I believe it's 5:15 or 5:30 or something like that. That's going to be your dinner time, and you're going to go do that and enjoy it. If you have the second seating, they have the show time. That the main show is going to be around that, and you're going to want to get there relatively early to get a good seat, or at least get a few people there to kind of get a good block of seats. They say don't save seats, but really everybody saves seats. So whatever with that. But just don't be gaudy about it.
These 30 seats are ours.
Yeah. You can grab a few seats, and so you enjoy the show. If you've gone the first seating dinner, then you're going to go see the show afterwards. And if you're second seating, then you go to dinner pretty much right after the show. Maybe you'll have a little time to stop off at the cabin and use the restroom or whatever the case may be. But then you're going to go to dinner, and then you do that. And then the evening is opened up to whatever you want to do. There's more activities in the night. There's sometimes shows within the clubs themselves. There's more activities going on for families, for adults on the pool deck, in the various different lounges throughout the ship.
Right.
There's all sorts of areas. But let's get to another night there's always some sort of specialty night aboard each cruise. And it may be a Star Wars Day at Sea night, or Day at Sea night, or a Marvel Day at Sea night, or there is definitely going to be on board every Disney ship a pirate night. That you'll want to take advantage of. Everybody decks themselves out, dresses like pirates. You go out there, and that's when you get the fireworks at sea, which is special for any cruise that you'll ever go on. Is the fireworks at sea, along with a little show out by the pool deck, and it's really enjoyable, and you really will want to take part in that.
Yeah, it's really fun. The characters come out and do a show, and there's really a storyline to this pirate night, and with the fireworks, and it's just so much fun to see everybody out there. You can dance alongside with them. There's a lot of music. It's a lot of energy and fun and activity, and that's why we really recommend the nap, because we have seen several times people we've traveled with just be too worn out to go for that pirate night, and you really don't want to miss it. It is so fun.
Yeah, if there's one day that you want to make sure and try and get some time in the middle of to kind of recharge your batteries so you're ready to go in the evening, especially for the little ones, it's going to be pirate night, or whatever, Star Wars Day at Sea, Marvel Day at Sea, whatever the case may be, because those are going to be some of the most fun nights you have. And we recommend bringing some for pirate night, bringing some sort of attire for the kids to wear, some sort of costuming, or whatever the case may be. They even have, if you want to spend money on it, at the Bippity Boppity Boutique, they have pirates outfits that they'll deck the kids out in as well. But even if you don't bring that stuff, if you don't want to haul it cross country and in your baggage, or if you just don't want to purchase it, whatever, everybody gets like a bandana to wear, a pirate bandana and stuff, so you can still join in the fun as well.
Yeah, so we're just trying to get you to understand the kind of the flow of the day, because I think some people think of cruising and they think, oh, that's, like when I retire, or, just sit around and go slow. And that's not what this is. I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be, but there are so many fun things. It's not just trivia. They have, where they have family interactive game shows that they can bring, they may bring kids up to, or karaoke. You can do karaoke as adults or karaoke as a family. They have dancing lessons that you can learn how to samba, or, there's just some. And then that night they would have music theme to really get into it. So it's not a slow paced. It can really be so much fun and energizing. What's great is it really, as a family, you can have a ton of fun together as a family and everybody's really getting into the activities, or you can have time away that everybody is doing some individual things and regrouping for meals, whatever you want. But it is just, it is as much fun as going to any of their theme parks. And in fact, I always end up finding that I'm, telling you, we got to add this and we got to do, it's like non-stop, just go, 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 go.
It can be whatever you want it to be. If you want to just get on the ship and just relax and enjoy it and sit back and read a book, enjoy the pool, enjoy sitting by the ocean, letting it go by and just having a very relaxing trip. It can be that. If you want to be go, 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 do every activity you possibly can. Go see every show you possibly can. Just have a good time the entire time you're there. You can be that. Or you can do something in the middle, which is often what we do. We have times where we're just kind of relaxing and reading a book, and times when we're going to trivia, going to the show, going to a movie. It just depends on what is right for you, but it does offer those options for anyone who wants to go. And, you wrap up your day by looking at those options. The next night you get back to your room, you'll have a towel animal somewhere in there, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And you will have the navigator for the next day. If you don't want to bother looking at it on your app, the paper navigator will be in your room, and then you can go through the night before, checking off what we're going to do tomorrow, and just get ready for the very next day on your Disney cruise.
Yeah. So, that's just, in a nutshell. I know we're not giving you a lot of details. Some things are because we really want you to be able to, if you're going to go on one of these Disney cruises, to experience some of the fun and excitement and surprises that they provide to you. You would not regret going on a Disney cruise. That's the one thing I can really assure you. It is a blast.
Yeah. If you love Disney, look, cruising's not for everybody. Okay. I'm going to say that right off the bat. Cruising vacations aren't for everybody, but there's a lot of people like us that fell in love with it. And for a while, that was, as you can tell by how many numbers of cruises we've taken, there was a time being where that was almost always our primary vacations.
Right.
We were going on cruises, whether it be Disney cruises or some other cruise lines. We were going on that on our own. We've extended that to go back to the parks more often recently, but we still go back to our first love, and that's a Disney cruise or a cruise in general more often than not.
Yeah. So, it again, right, like you said, cruising isn't for everybody, but if you do love Disney and love the parks, you probably will find the cruise ship to be a really enjoyable vacation.
Agreed. And I suggest anybody at least give it a shot and see what you think of it. Even if it's just going on the 3 or 4 day, give it a shot. See, you may find that you love it more than going to the parks. You might be surprised by that. So that pretty much kind of sums up everything that's going on aboard on the ship. Just kind of a general knowledge thing so you know. But we also want to give you some tips that from our experience we've learned that you may want to kind of have an idea going in. Maybe some things that aren't as much on the surface, but just kind of some things to know. And I want to start off with something that someone else sent us in on Twitter. And that's Keenan and Rachel, who are good friends of ours. And they said they are considering their first Disney cruise next year. It would be for their 10-year anniversary.
Yay.
Yeah. So any tips to make it more romantic or just fun couple stuff they'd appreciate. So that fits in very well for us because we happen to be about to celebrate an anniversary on a cruise. And we also a few years ago celebrated our 10th anniversary aboard a cruise.
Right. We did. We had our own little family gathering and party in our room, and but we also did some of the extras, so we did go to Palos and celebrate that. That's I would recommend that to anybody having an anniversary, is at least make sure you get into Palos. I mean, if you can, Remy's is special too. It's really special, a little more expensive, but Palos, it will provide you a wonderful evening, or you could do it as the brunch,
So here's what we did. I mean, and I wouldn't recommend this for you necessarily, Keenan and Rachel, unless you really feel like doing it. But our romantic thing was that we renewed our vows on board the ship, and Disney helped us set some of that stuff up. But Michelle actually did most of the planning for that on her own, but they can also handle that for you. And we discussed all that. It was probably about 9 months ago when we did an episode, looking at weddings with Disney.
Right.
And we started with ours on board the Disney Cruise Line. But there's lots of great stuff to do as adults. And as we discussed throughout this, I think there's a lot of things that you can take from what we've already talked about that might help you out. And that, one of the things is that we know your son will be with you and that you'll have some great family time as well. But the kids clubs are great, and the kids clubs will enjoy being with those clubs in the evenings as well. So, on your anniversary, you can schedule a Palo dinner. If you're on board the Dream or the Fantasy and you want to splurge, you can do Remy. You can go out and have a nice after dinner drink at the club or whatever, or listen to a piano player or whatever the case they have going on. Go dancing, all sorts of stuff, or just sit on the deck with a cocktail and watch the ocean sail by, which there really is very little more romantic than just sitting on the ocean, just hearing the water go by. Maybe the moon is over, maybe it's a full moon, and just watching it and just sitting there with the one you love with a glass of wine or whatever. And that, in itself is a wonderful time. But there's just so many things you can do. There's spa things where you can do as couples in there. They have a great spa, and I don't think we've actually referenced the spa enough, but they have some wonderful different things that happen within the spa. On Castaway Cay, they have couples massages there that you can get right on Castaway Cay if you want when you're there. And yes, the kids clubs do also extend onto Castaway Cay, which is Disney's private island as well. So if you want to take some time to be away from the kids and have some adult time on Castaway Cay, you can do that as well, and know that the kids are well taken care of and having an entertaining good time as well. So,
right, because Castaway Cay does have an adult only section as well.
Yeah,
so it's depending on what kind of things you enjoy doing. But and the other thing you can do is talk to your room steward, talk to your server, and let them know you're celebrating so that they can celebrate with you. And they can also share with you some things that might be going on the ship, that there might be something special happening on a particular night that it might not be as well known or announced. And so that's another option to help really bring some spark to your celebration.
Let Disney know from day one that you're celebrating whatever it is. Right. If it's an anniversary, if it's your honeymoon, if it's a birthday, whatever the case may be, retirement, whatever you're celebrating, let them know from day one. If you're going through a travel agent, let them know when you're on board. They should already have that covered, but let them know anyway. And believe me, that on Disney Cruise Line, even more than I see like at the parks, at the resorts, you will get dropped pixie dust while you're out there.
Right.
Do little things here and there. Maybe nothing grand, but you do get some nice little pixie dust throughout your trip if they know you're celebrating something special.
Exactly.
So that's what I would say to that. Now let's go through some other tips. And I'm interested to hear what Michelle's tips are as for Disney cruise as we go along, because some of them might be the same as mine.
Okay. Well, one thing is more mechanical. It's not as exciting, but the concept of trip insurance is when you're booking, whether you're booking alone or with a travel agent, that question will come up. You can do it if you're booking through Disney. You can do it. They offer, from a company that they have contracted with to provide some travel insurance, but you might find it a better deal if you go through the travel agent, or if you're doing it on your own. You can also go online and find travel insurance coverage, and that's mainly to help you if things like your luggage doesn't make it and you have to buy clothes on board the ship, or something related to weather and it causes you additional fees at a hotel, whatever the case may be.
Even more importantly, if you should get injured or sick somewhere along the trip, a lot of times, yes, you can get helped out on the ship, and then they'll help you, but they will charge you for that. If you're in a different country, it can be a little tricky trying to get your insurance taken in, your medical insurance that you have in the United States in a different country. This will reimburse you for any problems you might have if you were to trip and fall and hurt yourself, or if you were to get sick for whatever reason, or anything could happen. It's just good to have as a backup backup. I don't normally encourage travel insurance for, like, especially if you're just going to the Walt Disney World Resort or Disneyland or whatever the case may be. But for a cruise, there are so many options out there that could happen to you, and especially when you're traveling to a different country. That's the one time I do recommend you getting travel insurance. But yes, you can just make it easy and go through Disney, but I would recommend shopping around, just like you said, Michelle.
Right. Thank you. So my other tip relates to the day that you're going to be going on board the ship. That first day, trying to give you a feel for what the flow is. When you get to the port, you're going to be checking in your luggage, and that luggage will eventually be delivered to your stateroom. They will bring it to the door, so you get it there. But sometimes you don't know exactly when that luggage will be delivered. They're delivering thousands and thousands of bags to different rooms. You might see it come like, one bag comes, and then half an hour later, another bag comes. So what you really want to make sure you have ready is a day bag. And what you could pack in your day bag, and make it something easy to carry and portable, would be things that you'd want to have right away in case your luggage doesn't come promptly.
Can we start with make sure you have any passports or any cruise documents with you in that bag? Do not put those in your checked luggage.
That's true. Very good point. But like if you have medications, you want to have those available to you. You might want to have swimwear so that you can go into the pool. You might want to have your clothes for the first evening's dinner, which is generally going to be casual, but you might want to have that just in case your bag doesn't make it on time. Usually they do, but especially if you're going to an early seating and you want to be prepared in advance, you want to have that luxury to know, okay, I have my clothes even if my bag doesn't make it quite on time.
And the good news about that is that Disney, most people think, I'm going out to eat, I have to dress up, whatever the case may be. Yeah, of course you want to dress a little bit nicer on, for dinner. I always think it's nice, but you don't have to. Disney knows who their clientele are. They also know, especially on the first or last night, that you may not have all your wardrobe with you. And so they're very lax on allowing you to go in there.
Right.
They just don't want you wearing like swimwear and flip-flops necessarily that aren't stylish flip-flops or whatever, into the dining room. But we see people go in there with shorts, all sorts of things, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly. So the other tip I would give you is to have a packing list and use it. I know that one year I didn't use it and I forgot some key things. So have your packing list ahead of time and get that checked off as you're packing things. If you want help with that, if you want to see what ours is, sign up for our newsletter and we'll send that one out to you as well.
Yeah, Michelle's got her own packing list. I'm a little more willy-nilly than Michelle, but Michelle is meticulous and does a great job with her packing list. And it's a good thing because I would forget stuff if I had to. Michelle is always, I pack my clothes and whatever. Michelle makes sure we have all those extra things that we need to make our trip that much more wonderful as we're going through it. So Michelle has that packing list to make sure we have it all ready to go. I have a couple tips that I want to go through here. And, I tend to be, because people get concerned about this. I hear this more than possibly anything else about going on a cruise. For people who haven't gone on a cruise is, look, I get motion sickness. And I'm afraid to be out on a ship and what's going to happen if I get motion sickness. Well, I'll tell you this. I get motion sickness pretty significantly. It's one of those things with me. However, I've learned to control it on a ship. One, these ships are giant. They have stabilizers. They're usually pretty good. Only when the seas are fairly high do you really notice the motion. A lot of times you hardly. Right. I've learned to train myself with, I use medication. I use Bonine, or it's a Meclizine, which is Bonine. It's kind of less drowsy version of medication, and that's what I take on board the ship. And the one thing I've learned to do with it is I start taking it a couple days before, because it kind of needs to be in your system ahead of time. Working through. So it's good if you're concerned about that, if you get motion sickness at all, one, talk to your doctor first of all and see what they recommend, because there's very different ways to handle it. But I would suggest if that is what you're going to use, by taking it a few days ahead of time. And if for some reason you think you can make it without it, and you do find yourself running into seasickness, motion sickness when you're on board the ship, there is free motion sickness pills given out at guest services. You don't have to pay anything for them, so you can pick them up there.
Right.
If it's more extreme, you can go to the doctor's office on board the ship,
Right.
and they will charge you for it. That's the travel insurance. But they do have like an injection that'll give you that'll help you ease that pretty quickly. But just to kind of set some of those aside, I use it more as a precautionary thing. I don't find the motion to really bother me most of the time. It's just I just don't want to get to that part. Michelle hardly ever takes any motion
Right,
sickness
yeah.
pills. She is fine on board these ships. Most people are. They are giant
Right.
floating cities.
Right. Yeah.
One more thing I want to go over as far as tips, and it's getting to the cruise port. One, I'm going to tell you that unless you're very close to the actual cruise port flying in, you probably want to fly in the day ahead of time. You don't want to take any chances where your flight gets canceled, it gets delayed, or you miss a connector, whatever the case may be, and you're either scrambling to get to the ship or you miss the ship and then you have to find another flight to get to wherever the ship is at the first port or whatever the case may be. Better to, just make it easy on yourselves. Fly in the night before, stay somewhere nearby, whether it's if you're sailing out of Port Canaveral, you can stay at Walt Disney World Resort, or if you want to go all the way to the port, there's plenty of hotels nearby the port that you can stay on, and a lot of them have shuttles to the port themselves, so you can go in there. Another thing I would suggest is you can take the Disney bus that gets you from either the resort or from the airport to the cruise ship terminal. But that is for a fee. Just take that into consideration. It's not like Disney's Magical Express, which is free.
Right.
This they will charge you for, and they charge you per person. So you may want to consider instead renting a car. You can rent a car, and in Florida especially, it's really easy to do one-way rental car trips. When you might, especially if you have a family or four or whatever, go ahead and it's just the one fee for the car. Even if it's $50, it's going to be less than what it's going to cost you to go a whole family on board the bus. Yes, they'll take care of your luggage and everything, so you don't have to worry about that. But I find it easier to go there. There's many different rental car agencies right there by the port. You drop the car off there. They have the shuttle going to the port itself from the rental car area. Right. And I just find that a very easy way of getting to the actual cruise port, which is only a little over an hour away from Orlando Airport and Walt Disney World itself.
Right. No, very good idea.
So
I do have another couple tips.
Yes, go for it, Michelle.
So, and these are tips we've actually shared on past episodes, but one of them is, well, they're both related to room service, but one of them is terms of a treat that is not listed on the main room service menu, but you can ask for, and that is the famous Mickey bars.
Yes, the premium Mickey ice cream bars.
Yes. So that you won't see it on the room service menu, but you can request that, and that will be delivered to you in room service. The other thing that you've shared as a tip in the past is that you can order, just before you go to bed, order a pot of coffee to be delivered to your room. And you can leave it overnight, and it will still be warm enough in the morning to have that first cup of coffee before you get out to go to breakfast or whatever else you're going to plan to do in the morning. So it's easy, a free way to get that coffee delivered. I mean, you could obviously have coffee delivered to you. You can designate a time for room service, but if this one you don't want to even wait to have somebody deliver it, you can have it there ready for you in the morning.
Yeah, their pots are really good. They do stay, it's not going to be piping hot in the morning, but it'll be nice and warm still in the morning as long as you keep it sealed up. And yeah, it's a way of, as the family's getting ready to go out, that you just have coffee in your room. You don't have to go up to the deck and pick it up and bring it back to your room or whatever the case may be. You know, it's just kind of a way to make that easy for you if you like a cup of coffee first thing when you get up in the morning.
Yeah, because room service is pretty busy in the morning on the cruise ship because they are delivering to a lot of people who have designated the continental breakfast to be served to their room. So a lot of times if you call room service in the morning for a pot of coffee or just something light, you may end up waiting, an hour or so because they have so many other deliveries that are already pre-scheduled.
Mm-hmm. So this is a way to cut that time and just have it ready to go. And even if you did order room service for the next morning, continental breakfast or whatever into the room, it's just a way to have that a little earlier. And if you want to have some chocolate chip cookies for the kids that night, or the Mickey bar like we were talking about, or anything else in the room that night, just add a pot of coffee along with it. And usually it's customary to tip a room service about $1 or $2, depending on how large the order is. Yeah. So good. So that's it. Lots of stuff to go over Disney. Obviously, Disney Cruises, we've talked for a long time on this subject, but we love it and we think it's an important some important information that maybe you don't know. Maybe you're used to going to the parks but haven't done a Disney cruise. So we want to be here to help you out so you are prepared next time you go. And if you are planning a Disney cruise and have any questions for us, feel free to hit us up at any time. Of course, again, Hyperion Adventures Podcast at gmail.com, or just hit us up on social media. We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Right. And if you've had a particular experience on a Disney cruise that you'd like to share, let us know and we'll announce that as well. And if you have other tips, we'll give you credit for sharing those tips as well.
Yeah, that's for sure. Definitely. So we've gone very long on this main topic, so I want to get to some of the other topics just really, really quickly. I was planning on spending more time on this, but we went so long on Disney Cruise. I'm just going to touch on it really briefly. And that was on Thursday night, we went and saw a musical that we were really excited about, especially me. I was really excited about seeing, which was, it's a new musical adaptation of the movie Almost Famous. I don't know if you know that movie. It came out, I believe it was in 2000. It was, but it was based on the movie Almost Famous. It was the story of Cameron Crowe, who has written many films that you may know and love: Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Say Anything, Jerry Maguire, and of course Almost Famous. And it's kind of the story of somewhat of his life, of what he went through when he was young. And it's one of if you take Disney, Marvel, Star Wars out of the equation, I would probably say it's in my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah, so. It is amazing. It is a great movie and an interesting story, but just the movie itself and the actors that they had on it were spot on, really amazing at their portrayal of what took place.
So we were really excited to go to this. It's headed to Broadway pretty soon. It's a small theater here in San Diego where they're showing it right now as they're kind of getting it ready for a Broadway run. It's the Old Globe Theater in San Diego's Balboa Park is where we saw it. And like Michelle just talked about, the cast is amazing. The production crew is fantastic. I was going to list all the credits that these people have because there are so many, but because we're running a little long, I'm not going to go through it all, but I'm just going to say, you're going to want to see this show, especially if you love the movie.
Right.
You really want to go see this show because it's phenomenal. I see it as a possible Tony, nominee coming up here because we love the show. It's got exciting energy. The sets, even though it's sometimes very simple, the way they used them are creative. The choreography they did things in a very interesting way. They wrote, you think about a lot of this, and if you know the movie, there's a lot of 70s music from the 70s in it. And yes, they use some of those songs, but they wrote 20 brand new songs within this. So it's not just kind of a jukebox type of stuff where they're just kind of going through, the songs that and using them within the story. No, they're actually telling the story through brand new songs. Found it fascinating. Again, cast is top notch. The way they approached the storyline is excellent. I love it. I can't wait for it to go to Broadway. And from what I read, they're just waiting for an open theater. And they already are working on a Sony Masterworks cast album for this. So they really believe that this is going to be a hit.
Right.
I really believe that this is going to be a hit. Yeah. And I believe it's going to be on Broadway here sooner rather than later. Like I said, it just sounds like they're looking for a theater to open up to house them. And I think that there'll be a lot of theaters that'll jump at the chance as soon as they get the chance.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's definitely a high caliber show. Like you said, even though the sets may look somewhat simplistic, they do some creative work with how things move and motion and sound, how they interject instruments into part of the sceneries, etc. The interactions with the audience is fun and upbeat. Great music. The new songs flow with it really well. Love it.
And the cast is excellent. I mean, there's a couple people in there. Soleil Pfeiffer, who plays Penny Lane. She was also on the first touring company of Hamilton as Eliza Hamilton. Right. She, every time she's on the stage, you're watching her. The kid who plays William Miller, This is his first major thing he's ever done. I mean, he's done some
Right.
stuff in high school. As a matter of fact, he was an award winner for high school theater. He's super impressive, and I see
Right.
really big things ahead for
Yes.
him as well. Amazing cast, amazing production crew that have been Tony Award nominees all throughout it and have been in some of the biggest musicals you'll know. This is destined for good things. I'm really, really looking forward to see what happens when it hits Broadway.
Yeah, and hoping people get an opportunity to enjoy what we saw here in San Diego.
I think they will sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
So nice. So let's move on to our Disney stories of the week. And I'm just going to go through these really quickly again. First, I want to start off with we now know the dates for Disneyland's version of the Candlelight Processional. Okay. Now, you know about the Candlelight Processional at the Walt Disney World Resort. Well, it originated at the
Right.
Disneyland Resort. It's been going on there since 1958. It's done a little differently at Disneyland. They hold it actually on Main Street, right in front of the train station there. That's where they have it going on. So it's going to be happening this year on December 7th and December 8th. That's a Saturday and Sunday, 2019. We don't know who the host is going to be yet. Last year, it was Chris Pratt was the host. They've had many big names throughout the years. Normally, the reserved seating is for invited guests and VIPs and stuff. However, you can go and find a viewing spot on the day of. Usually people will line up well ahead of time.
Hours
in the
ahead.
morning, first thing to go. But you can still find spots if you go there on that day on Main Street and still check it out if you want to go and be there as part of it. It's very similar to the Candlelight Processional you may know from the Walt Disney World Resort. But it's just excellent. It's, and again, this is where it first started. This was what Walt wanted to do originally, to kind of have this for the citizens of Orange County to be able to enjoy. But it's just progressed from there.
Yeah, it again, you know the Candlelight Processional from Disney World, but there is something special about having it there where it originated, and having it at the train station is really cool.
Absolutely. So that's a lot of fun. Finally, I want to just mention quickly that, yes, we received a couple new trailers for some highly anticipated movies from Disney coming up this year. Disney Pixar's Onward, we got that trailer earlier this week. It was a lot of the footage we'd seen already at D23 Expo. There was some new stuff that we hadn't seen before within it that I thought was fascinating, but excited for that.
Yeah.
That's going to be released in theaters on March 6th, 2020. And the Jungle Cruise as well. And I put it out on Twitter. It's like, when we went into the Walt Disney Studios panel for D23 Expo, we kind of knew the Jungle Cruise movie was coming up, but we really had nothing to it. After seeing the footage we saw there and the chemistry between Emily Blunt and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I'm all in on this movie. And then seeing this trailer as well, I'm completely all in. I'm very excited for it. I don't know what you think, Michelle.
Definitely. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It looks like a great movie with a interesting storyline to it as well. But you're right. The main thing is the chemistry between the two of them. You could see that, like you said, on the footage that they showed, but also in real life, their interactions was so amazing together, and the chemistry was fun and exciting, and looking forward to that film.
Yes, me too. I'm very excited for it. It looks very fascinating, and I can't wait for it. That comes out on July 24th of 2020. That's the Disney stories of the week. However, we never leave you without giving you, well, we're going to give you more vacation tips this time. We give you tips already, but we're going to give you another tip. And we're especially going to go to Michelle first, because she always has the very best tips. So let's get to Michelle's tip of the week.
Well, thank you, sweetie. So my tip, I actually have kind of two, because one is a smaller one. But as I mentioned, in terms of room decorations for the Disney cruise for your cabin, you could also do that at any of the Disney vacations that you go on. You could bring a few of the stuffed animals or some other, have your kids draw pictures or posters, or, get, from the dollar store, some things that you can put on windows. I think of like at Port Orleans Resort, they have kind of like that window. I don't want to call it a bay window, but somewhat. And you can actually have things so that people walking by can see the decorations, so make it can be fun DIY together as a family, to enhance your vacation by having some interactions with some fun decorations.
And we're in the holiday season right now too. So if
Right.
like for Halloween coming up here,
true.
Thanksgiving, we're getting into Christmas, and you
Right.
want to get decked out for that, sure, bring some of that stuff along as well.
Cool. And my little tip is specifically for a Disney cruise vacation. And as you mentioned in your part that, things that look very much similar rooms, and you may feel like, where's our room or whatever. So if you look on the carpeting, if the pattern is facing upright, then you're headed to the front of the ship. If it's upside down, you're heading to the back of the ship. And that can be really helpful when you're trying to figure out which direction am I going, which side of the ship should I be on. So look at the floor.
My quick tip, and I'm going to go very quickly because I've discussed it before. If you're on a Disney cruise and you're going to Castaway Cay, I highly recommend you taking advantage of the Castaway Cay 5K.
Right.
And that's because it's free to sign up for. You can, if you're involved in this, you get to be the first people off the ship onto the island. And so you can get out there and get the best spot when you're out on the island by doing this 5K.
Right.
Yes, it could be a little hot. It could be a little sticky, sure. But it could be an enjoyable way to get a little exercise in the day, and you get the first spot out there on the out there, and don't have to worry about maybe it's fighting as much to find the right deck chair and everything else.
Exactly.
So I highly recommend you doing it. You do get a medal for it if you do it. You do get a bib if you do it. It's really enjoyable. I can't recommend it enough when you're going to Castaway Cay, but that's just my quick tip of the week.
That's excellent.
So that's it for this week. Next week, well, this is tentatively scheduled because we're still trying to get this guest lined up. We've been working with them to try and find the date when we can record, and hopefully that's going to be soon. But right now, we're planning on continuing our Star Wars Remembered series. So next week, we'll be looking at Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. That should be a lot of fun as we wrap up the original trilogy.
Yeah, I can't wait. And I'm assuming we're going to have our great friend and guest, Rob LeBaer.
I haven't talked with Rob yet, but I'm assuming that he will join us. I know he'll have a lot to say about that movie, so I'm sure he'll want to jump on with us. So thanks for joining us today. In the future, you can find us most everywhere you get podcasts. Best place to ever to find us is HyperionAdventurespodcast.com. And you want to go there to sign up for our newsletter and be a part of our trivia contest that we discussed. So, and please don't forget to follow us as well on social media. On Twitter at Hyperion Podcast, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest at Hyperion Adventures Podcast. And you can always email us at HyperionAdventuresPodcast@gmail.com. And if you don't sign up for the newsletter and still want to be part of the contest, you can do it through those ways by contacting us through any of those areas as well.
Yeah, so get your hand in on this. It can be a lot of fun, and we hope you enjoy it.
Yes. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening to the Hyperion Adventures podcast. We look forward to sharing some time with you again next week. But until that time, I'm Tom.
I'm Michelle.
And we hope that you have a magical week.